So yeah, that's a little sketchy tip in there. Hey guys, so welcome to this new video on how to travel for cheap. So just so you know, this is a series on my channel, so this is part 2 and I'll put part 1 in the description below. So part 1 was more on how to travel the world for cheap when it comes to booking cheap flights, how to find, you know, the cheapest month to travel, how to find cheap destinations, how to get like free stays, that sort of thing. So it's more the things that you'd start with when you're booking your travel, your vacation. Today we're going to talk more about how to travel for cheap at your destination, so once you're there. So if you haven't seen part 1, I would definitely look that up, because you know, like, that's a lot of money that you would put in flights and accommodation, so you can save a lot of money there. So it's definitely good if you're trying to save money. And then if you have watched it, then welcome to this new video. So I'm really excited. These are like things that I do myself, and definitely like I've saved hundreds of euros doing, like, using these tips and hacks. So I hope it will help you too. And yeah, if you are not subscribed yet, then go ahead and do that, because that way you won't be missing any new videos. And yeah, let's get into it. Alright, so the first thing you should definitely do when you're traveling the world for cheap is to pick a destination with really good transportation. Not just the transportation to get there, like we talked about in my previous video, but the transportation on the destination to actually get around your destination. So for example, when we went to Paros in Greece, which is one of the islands of the Greek islands, we didn't rent a car. We actually took the bus around the island, and we also rented an ATV, so we could go to places that buses don't go to. We only rented the ATV for 1 day, so that wasn't even like that big of a deal. But it was really cool because buses were actually really good and very cheap. So that was a great way to save money. Renting a car on that island would have definitely, you know, cost us a lot more than it did to take the bus. And renting the ATV was like a great idea, because it was both a way to get us like around, but it was also fun. And so it was kind of like both transportation and fun, so you kind of get 2 in 1 there. Another thing to take into account when you're picking your destination and when you're going to your destination is whether your destination is an island or not. What I've noticed over the years traveling, you know, to different islands don't usually have the best offers for cars, because they're just limited, especially small islands like the Greek islands. They're limited in the number of cars they can have on the island. So if you're planning on renting a car but you're traveling on a tight budget, I would definitely recommend avoiding islands, because you know, they have less cars, so obviously the prices are going to be higher than in other places that are not islands. And also the cars book really fast, so if you don't book early enough, then you're left with like really expensive options, and there's going to be a lot less deals as well. So these are things to take into account about transportation. Oh, we're being blessed with beautiful weather here in Ireland. It's pouring rain. We're so glad. It's very bad right now. So my second tip is to plan in advance instead of winging it. I just think that when you're trying to wing it, you know, imagine you show up at a hotel. Usually the prices that they give you are way more expensive than the prices that you would have found online, and that's just from my own experience. It's usually the case. So it's the same for activities. Like, you usually get a lot of, you know, better deals and discounts online, especially if you book in advance, than on the day. And also when you're winging your travels, you take the risk to be stuck, because you could easily, especially if it's high season, you know, it could easily be that all the cheap hotels, they're just booked. So you have to turn to more expensive options, which obviously are not good if you're on a budget. So yeah, I would avoid winging it altogether. And you could also easily be stuck and not have any option, and it's then it just ruins like the mood and you're traveling. And I also find that when you're trying to wing it, you waste a lot of time in figuring out all these things, whereas, you know, if you've planned it in advance, then you don't have to think of these things when you're there, and so you can just enjoy your travel or your vacation. So altogether, I think that booking in advance is definitely a way to save money. My third tip is to walk a lot at your destination. So obviously that's not possible, you know, everywhere, but especially in Europe, you can walk all around the cities and you don't have to use transportation, even public transportation. So obviously that's going to save you, you know, a bit of money there. But also when you walk around and you know, instead of taking the bus or the train or whatever, you discover new places that you wouldn't have found if you hadn't walked. And so you get a lot more out of your destination without spending any additional money. So that's really good. It's like, you know, getting extras from your destination. Obviously, always research your destination and check if it's safe to walk there. There are places where it's like safe to walk during the day, but you wouldn't really want to be around at night. So just do a little bit of research, especially if you're a woman. We all know that it's not always safe. So yeah, something to keep in mind. Another great way to save money when you're traveling the world for cheap is to pack light. And this is coming from someone who is not really good at packing light. But when we went to Greece, we actually decided that we would only buy one hold luggage, because we had to pay extra for the hold luggage, and honestly it was like 30 euros, I think. So it's like a full meal at a restaurant, you know. So we were like, okay, we don't need 2 pieces of luggage in the hold, we can just go with one, especially because we had carry-ons. So we just took one, and you know, it was great, didn't see the difference, and we saved some money there. So definitely do this if you can. And also another good way to save money is to actually only travel with your carry-on, and that's actually possible even if you're going for like 2 weeks. You just have to make sure that you use what we call like a capsule wardrobe. So what that is essentially is that you pack clothes that go really well with, like, all together. You know, you don't just pack one shirt that goes with only one pair of shorts. You pack things that all go together, and you also pack clothes that you can turn from like warm weather to cold weather and cold weather to warm weather. Like for example, a dress, you're not going to pack a dress that you can only wear in the sun if you're going to a destination that can get both hot and cold in the same day. Instead, you're going to pack a dress that you can wear tights with and a sweater with. That way you can easily switch, you know, from cold to hot without having to pack a completely different outfit. So that's going to save you a lot of room, and obviously you're not going to have to pack as much, and so you can just travel with a carry-on or only one whole luggage if for your entire family or for, you know, your couple with your partner. Now on to how to travel for free, because yes, you know, there are going to be expenses that you can't avoid, and people who tell you otherwise, it's usually a bit sketchy. So yes, you know, if you're flying to your destination, you're most likely going to have to spend some money on the flights, but there are activities there that you can do for free, and choosing free activities can save you a ton of money. And it doesn't mean that you're not going to have fun, doesn't mean that you're not going to get the most out of the destination. It's usually the opposite, because a lot of the time at your destination, you don't actually need to like do all the, you know, visits that you have to pay for. There's lots to see that is free. And so some free activities you can do include like hiking, going to the beach, visiting towns and cities, like roaming around the streets. Like when we went to Greece, or even when I went to the US or like other countries, like we spent so much time just roaming around and, you know, getting lost into the streets, and it's so much fun, and you're discovering things that, you know, you wouldn't really see if you weren't doing that. So it's really fun, and you really get to experience the place. And there are lots of destinations that have free museums, so it's a good way to discover and learn more about the destination you're visiting without having to pay an entrance fee. And there are lots of places who also have markets, like during the week and on the weekends. So it's really fun to go to the market, and you don't even have to buy anything, but it's just fun to kind of be like there, and the vibe is pretty cool. So yeah, these are like a few things that you can do for free at your destination. So now 2 quick things I wanted to mention. There's not a lot to say about them, but I just wanted to mention them because I think you can save also a lot of money through those 2 things. So the first one is to always bring your student card, your senior card, and sometimes even like your family card. I know that's a thing in some countries. You can definitely get such good deals through those cards, and a lot of the time a lot of things are free for students. So I would definitely bring your card. And the second thing is to always bring some medicine, some kind of first aid kit, or some like medicine, you know, basic medicine like for headaches, or you know, especially if you go to a country where the food is different, maybe you're gonna want to have some medicine for that, tummy aches and stuff. So it can be a lot cheaper to bring your own instead of having to maybe go to the doctor there or buying it there, because in some countries you can get all that medicine over the counter. You don't need a prescription, but then in some other countries you would need a prescription. So just bringing your own sometimes saves you a lot of money. Now, on to the banking part of this video. So when you travel abroad, usually there are going to be fees that are going to be charged to you for using your card or withdrawing money at the ATM. So what I would suggest is that before you go to your destination, you call your bank and you ask them exactly what are the fees that apply to you. Because those fees, you know, they might be only a little tiny percentage, and you might be thinking, oh, it's only like a couple euros, but it adds up so quickly, and you want to avoid that because you want to avoid having like a 50 euro bill at the end of your vacation. That's just fees. That's just, you know, crazy. So call your bank and figure out with them what the best way is to go about it. Sometimes it's bringing cash, sometimes it's withdrawing like a lot at once, so you're charged less fees every time. So it really depends on the bank, on, you know, your account, the type of card that you have, and your destination, and also the kind of ATM you use at your destination. I found that when we went to Greece, a lot of the ATMs that were really obvious on the streets actually charged a lot more fees than ATMs from, you know, banks there. So sometimes it's better to withdraw money at the local bank, but all of this you kind of need to figure out for yourself because it's going to depend on your bank, your destination, and all the things I mentioned. So now that we've talked about the banking side, let's talk about the communication side. So I would highly recommend having WhatsApp on your phone, because every time there's Wi-Fi you can both call and like text message people. So it's really nice because not everyone has like Messenger or Facebook, especially if you're trying to communicate with like older people in your family that might not, you know, be into all these different platforms. So WhatsApp allows you to call like any kind of phone for free as long as you have Wi-Fi, so that's a really good thing to have. And you can also have Skype, so you can put it on your phone and on your computer, and they do charge for calls, but it's, you know, it's really not that much. I think when I call my like grandma from here, it costs me about 2 to 3 euros for like 20 minutes, so it's really not that much, and it's good to have, you know, just in case you need to contact someone. So Skype and WhatsApp are definitely apps to have when you're traveling abroad and you don't want to spend, you know, a ton of money on communication. Now, a great way to save money in general is to save money on food, and I've talked about this so many times already on my channel and on Instagram, just because food is usually the place where you can save a lot of money at once. So when you're on a vacation, it's the same, you know, the same applies. You should try and save money on food if you're trying to save money overall. So I would definitely cook your own meals, because going to the restaurant or even buying sandwiches can be so expensive at the end of the day. So, you know, try to keep that in mind when you're booking your accommodation. Try to book a place that you at least have like a microwave or one hob, you know, even if it's really small. Sometimes that's all you need, especially on a vacation. You're not going to be wanting to make like very complicated meals, but it should at least, you know, allow you to make sandwiches, because you'll be saving a lot of money in that department. And another thing that you can do, especially if you're staying at a hotel, is to save some of that bread and ham they give you at breakfast and make sandwiches for it, especially for lunch. That can save you a ton of money, and you know, it's all included. Usually they don't really care. So yeah, that's a little sketchy tip in there. So we're almost at the end of this video. I have 2 more tips to give you. The first one is, if you're going to go to a town or a city or, you know, some, you know, interesting site to visit, try to go to a tourism board before, or tourism office, we call them in France. You can go to them and ask people to kind of tell you more about the city, about the town, and they'll do it for free. So that will save you money. You won't have to like book a guided tour. You can just kind of talk to people, and you can also get little brochures. So, you know, in there you'll read about the city, the town, whatever it is that you're visiting. So you don't have to book a guided tour, and that's a great way to learn about the place without having to spend any money. And now my last tip has to do with sending postcards. So I don't know if sending postcards is still a thing. It is for me. I think I love getting postcards, so I always assume that people I send them to, you know, like to receive them. But when you're traveling abroad especially, and you're trying to send postcards internationally, stamps can be really expensive. Sometimes it's like a few euros here, and the card will be like 10 cents, and then the stamp will be like 2 to 3 euros, maybe 4, like it depends where you're sending your card. So I've discovered this app which is called Fizzer. I'll put the name somewhere here. I'll put the link in the description as well. And I believe it is a French app, but it is available in different languages, if I'm not wrong. If I am, I apologize. But it's a great app, and you can buy credits, and 1 credit equals 1 postcard, and usually you can send a postcard for less than €1 or like max €1, so it's pretty cheap, and it includes the stamp. You can send them anywhere in the world and they won't charge you more for the stamps. So that's really great. I've been using that app a ton and I love it. It's really easy, and you can use your own photos. So that's also really cool. Like, you know, it's just really personal and it's really cool. And you don't have to think about, you know, where you're gonna find stamps. You don't have to think about finding a mailbox. You don't even have to think, how many times have I written postcards and realized on the last day that I didn't post them? So many times. You know, it's just really easy and it's really cheap, and you won't have to care about, you know, putting in the right stamp or paying for the right stamp. It's just all done automatically. So it's really cool and it's really cheap. So if you like to send postcards, I definitely recommend that app. So yeah, that's all for today. I hope you liked this video. I hope that some of those tips are gonna help you save money on your travels. I hope we can travel so soon because I'm so tired of traveling locally. So yeah, let me know in the comments if you have any questions. I can answer them in the next videos, and let me know if you have like more tips that can help other people. That would be great. So yeah, don't forget to subscribe if you haven't done so yet, so you can find more videos and not miss new videos. And you can also follow me on Instagram, where I post like daily tips on how to save money, so that can be really cool for you if you're trying to save money. So I'll put it here. So yeah, I'll see you next week for a new video. Bye!